now we're at that part of the show where Jesse and myself, sometimes because we read so many books, there's got to be a melding, and we pick our comic spotlight of the week. That's a book that blew both of us away and came out this very week. So without further ado, let's look at the Heroes World comic book spotlight. And this week, that spotlight is DC Comics Dark Knights of Steel. That's right. You are correctly looking at Batman holding I'm going to say it, a nice two-handed sword in armor. And you see Kal-El behind him. You see Alfred Pennyworth. You see Harley Quinn. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This is a limited series brought to us by the fabulous Tom Taylor. And I have not come across this artist's art before, but it is definitely on my radar now, and that is Yasmine Putri. Fantastic art. Really complements the writing, really complements this world that they're building. And let's talk a little bit about Dark Knights of Steel, our comic book spotlight. First up, I'm going to say it's definitely an Elseworlds. DC has not put Elseworlds on the title card or the title page, but it is definitely not the Earth that we know. And you get to find that out right in the first couple of pages. It starts with the death of Krypton and the launching of that, fateful ship that brings young Kal-El to Earth. But the spin is both his parents come instead of just young Kal-El. Kal-El isn't even born. They rocket to Earth, they crash to Earth, and she is born after that crash. So we have the L's, shall we say, Jor-El and Laura L, are on Earth, and they have landed in what looks like medieval or ancient times, a fantasy setting. And my God, I got to say, I love that premise right away. We always talk about, the concept of the what if or the else world, where how would this character change if something different happened in their origin? And this one was very, very good. The fact that both his parents survived changes this realm completely. And we have a whole new set of, shall we say, king or monarchy because of this. Love this concept. Yes, that is Black Lightning, and he is a king of one of the kingdoms, and he knows now that there is a threat, a shall we say, a balance of power has now being shifted. So it's kind of like, I don't want to, it's like the world isn't the same, because now you've got three basically magical, because it's fantasy, like it's a magical beings that are almost unstoppable, unkillable, right? And of course we get young Kal-El, and if you can read that is the Castle of El, and it looks very Avalon-esque, very like bright and noble and stuff. And we've got young Bruce Wayne there. Such a cool concept. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love fantasy stuff. And this book just instantly scratched those itches and did it with class. I gotta say, it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't just a sprinkling, let's just put them in medieval armor and they will be the same characters. No, Tom Taylor has changed these things, and I love this book right from the get-go. What about you, Jesse?
I was skeptical at first. I thought it was going to be another bad title. Batman owns a comic book store. Every title is a Batman title.
Yep.
So I was a little hesitant about picking it up at first. Grabbed it, flipped through it. I was like, okay, medieval Batman. Let's see where this goes. I think it was page 4, like you said, when the ship comes down and Superman's parents come out with the baby. I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then it just keeps escalating from there and there and there.
Yep.
Like Tom Taylor very good comic book writer, but he must love fantasy stories as well, because he put together a comic book fantasy story. Hell, he could probably make a whole what is it? The Ultimates. Marvel did Ultimates. He could probably make his own little offshoot of Disney, or sorry, DC,
Yep.
with what he started here.
I 100% agree with that. This book it had so much, it's like it's bursting at the seams. Its pace is really good, although it's almost going too fast. This world is so interesting. I instantly want a whole imprint on it. You know, it's super cool. And I hope it's a 12-issue series, so it's a year-long series. I hope DC knows how promising this could be, because I would love to see other limited series about some of these characters. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, what goes on in this book. And we've got Batman. He's basically like the leader of the royal guard for the king and the queen, and of course young Kal-El. They're probably looking very similar in age and stuff. And of course, if you know your Superman history, you know that one of his weaknesses is magic. So there has been a, shall we say, sighting of a banshee, and Batman is going to ride out and slay this beast. And if you know from DC Comics, Silver Banshee is a mystical being, and that's who I'm thinking he's going to go face. You know, Batman is going to go say Silver Banshee, typically a Superman villainess, right? But the reveal is, you know, they get to the really interesting. We've got a picture of it here too. Like, he uses all his sidekicks, the Robins. They are his spy net. They know what's going on in the towns. They can slip in and slip out. There's the children. He's got Dick Grayson, Nightwing in there. We've got Drake, who's the Tim Drake is mentioned. Jason Todd is mentioned. The Signal is mentioned. We've got Stephanie is mentioned. Super cool. That's Alfred there drawing it. So they've cornered the Banshee, and it turns out to be none other than Black Canary. And what a cool fit, because she's got kind of like her siren song, her scream, right? Her canary cry. And I'm like, yo, that is super cool. And just again, how they utilized these different characters. You know, they've all met at the you know, they've converged on the place, and they're going in together. They make their battle plan. And of course, let's check out, like, look at how cool his armor is. You know, like, he did a bang up job creating it. That's King Jor-El there. Yeah, just a freaking amazing book. What a great start to the first one. Can't say enough about it. I think even if you don't like fantasy, or you don't think you've liked Elseworlds, or you've never tried an Elseworld book, definitely pick this one up. As I said, the artist does an amazing job. These colors are fantastic, and it's definitely not your DC kind of regular Elseworld. I really feel it's a cut above. We've talked a lot about Tom Taylor on Nightwing, and you know, Seven Secrets. Also, DCeased, Superman, son of Kal-El. Sorry, I had a little bit of a brain fart there for a minute. Just so good, right? And again, look at these covers. Like, look at this. Like, damn. Like, I love reading a comic and being like, I never knew I wanted this style of book. And so it's just a pleasant surprise on something that could have been handled very hokey. You know, not that it's the same story, but I remember Marvel did a series called Fear Itself, and then all of the heroes and the villains got these giant, like, battle maces and battle hammers and stuff like that. But it just wasn't, you know, to me, that well thought out. So this, I think, has all the everything comes together, all the pieces for a very good series. So I think it's definitely worthwhile. It totally deserves our spotlight. And over the coming months, I'm sure we're going to keep talking about this particular book, because it's just fan-frickin-tastic. I can't say enough about it. So far, Tom Taylor right now, man, I don't even want to tell you what his batting average is. This guy, every book that he's come out with in the past, 6 months to a year, I've absolutely loved. He has not slipped up yet. So I'm going to knock on wood for this guy. But again, if you're out there, I highly recommend anything and absolutely everything that he does.